Dormant sequence current I'm cooling in a volcanic vent. A hexagonal dream that was heaven sent. Impurities trapped in a blue ink sea, defining the clarity of you and me. Perfectly ordered in a lattice type, bending the rays of the incoming light through the mineral clouds and the dust of the years, washing away all the carbon-based fears, refracting the spectrum of the sun before the cooling is ever done, cutting through the haze in a crystalline day. We are lost in the sapphire geometry, a fractal design of a blue autonomy. Sharp edges cut in the velvet air, finding the symmetry said. the delta is built, flowing toward the horizon's wide embrace, vanishing slow without leaving a trace. Velocity squaring in the heart of a race, moving through silence and the empty space. Mass in a hurry, a headlong flight into the dawn of the incident. And I've been sailing through the static of your voice. Every wavelength offer another choice. You're the cipher written in by luminescent ink. The deepest question at the edge of what I think. Now I'm drifting, shifting through your undertow. Every secret lifting to the surface glow. Dive with me where pressure turns to diamonds, where the dark becomes a different kind of sight. Swimming through these phosphorescent islands, some currents, I'm certain I'm light beneath the night. reflex is stable and bright, reflecting the colors of the solar light.
Drifting on the copper tides. of the tempered steel. We are drifting on the copper tides, where the metallic spirit resides, resting into beauty slow and deep. Secrets that the sunken galleons keep. A chemical change in the turquoise swell, under the spell of the copper shell. Digging through the sediment of years, every layer holding fragments and fears. You're the artifact I thought I'd lost to time, the relic proving I was always mine. Now I'm dust and dry.
darkness see lights. Prism, zenith, halo.
fade.